So, what happens when you buy something like this, a budget HP all-in-one, for around $500, $600, and you use it for more than what it's intended? You run out of storage and it's slow. So what we're going to cover in this video is why we're going to upgrade a machine like this. Because typically I would say, hey, if it's too slow, if it's not working for you anymore, get you a new machine, something faster with more storage. But this particular HP is something used by a business customer with some special software on here. Not only that, but they have a ton of files on here. So instead of actually buying a new computer, because it's also a rush, because they need it back as soon as possible, because this is what they use to work on every day, we're going to do the upgrade. So let's see what we're going to do. Alright, so let's get this machine powered on. Plug in a keyboard and mouse. This one in particular only has ports in the back. There's certain HPs that have a power button right here, and for the longest time we were like, where's the power button? Can't find it. All right. This one has it on the back. You can clearly feel it. But there's some of these other HPs with a little tiny flush mounted button right here. Like one of my buddies on YouTube says, that ain't right. Not very user friendly in the most simplest terms with the power button there. But anywho, let's see what we got. The other issue I know when I looked at the specs is that it had 4 gigs of RAM. So let's confirm that. We'll go to the system, and yep, 4 gigabytes. And actually it says 3.42 usable. That's probably because the graphics that are built in, these AMD Radeon graphics, right? They don't have their own dedicated memory for graphics. It's sharing the memory with the computer's memory. So that's why it's only saying 3.42 usable. So really for Windows 11, that is not enough. And that will definitely cause the computer to slow down. 4 gigs of RAM is barely enough for an operating system to run. Now let's give you an example here. Task Manager, right? We're going to look at some, and even that's taking a while to load up. There we go. The other thing I want to, before we look into that, it's an AMD Athlon Silver. So again, this is a budget machine. They're also going to cut costs on the processor. This processor is always going to be running at 100% no matter what you do, for the most part. And that's what we can see, you know. We haven't really been opening any programs, but I've seen the CPU spike to 100%, which is normal, not a big deal. You know, even high-end i7, i9 processors, you'll see CPU go up to 100%, especially when it's booting up and it's trying to load all the background programs. But when you don't have much to work with, any little thing will make it at 100%. In other words, your processor is going to be running, you know, 100% utilization more often than not. And so from what we can see here, it says it has 2 cores, which is not much by today's standards. But we can't upgrade that. So we'll just leave it be the way it is. And we'll upgrade what we can, which will be the memory and the drive. I will, though, however, recommend to the customer perhaps not to upgrade the drive. It's already a solid state. They haven't used up, like I said earlier, like we looked at earlier, they haven't even used up half of it yet. So upgrading, even to a faster Samsung 980, 990, not really going to do much in terms of speed. So all we can do is upgrade the RAM, and do a tune-up, remove the McAfee. Yeah, so let's dive in to upgrading this computer. So like I was saying, I'm going to take a little deeper dive into what we're dealing with here. So we're looking at the motherboard inside of this all-in-one. Again, all-in-ones, kind of like laptops, they're going to have proprietary motherboards. This is not a standard sized micro ATX, mini ATX, ATX, eATX, whatever, right, that you find in desktops. This is its own unique motherboard. If you ever look for parts for laptops or all-in-ones, this is what you're going to find, right? You're going to find all kinds of different shapes and sizes with their own, proprietary connectors. This is for the display. This was for the display of some sort. But what we're looking at here, we're wanting to upgrade the RAM, right? And so as you can see, there's some kind of shield or cover. I'm going to pull on it. Now, seems to be a screw or two. All right, so like we were talking about previously, is this computer gonna be upgradable? We're gonna find out. I already removed my two screws right here, and so let's see what's behind door number one. Sockets. That's a good thing. And I figured that much. We have plenty of depth in this cover. I figured, but regardless, we're gonna get to work here. So this is that one 4 gigabyte stick, as you can tell, DDR4 PC4 3200, right? This is not enough for Windows 11. Let's get rid of this. We got this nice little Team Group DDR4 SODIMMs. It's good for laptops, and in this case, all-in-ones. So let's get this going here.
I should probably use my pocket knife for this. There we go. So let's get these installed. And by far, the computer doesn't seem slow.
And then your program at the same time, how it could slow down. I've seen that my whole entire computer tech career. You don't have enough RAM, your computer is going to run like molasses. My friend used to say it's slower than molasses, which is strange because who uses molasses nowadays? So let's put this cover back on. That was a pretty simple, easy to do upgrade, right? Take the RAM out, put the RAM back in. Generally speaking, if it's the same type of memory, in this case DDR4, it's gonna work. but there's also compatibility issues that can crop up. For one, you don't want to put mismatched kits. And we'll put this all back together now. Alright, so let's get this machine plugged in. Let's put the customer's mouse receiver back in. And let's put ours in. Let's test this out. Okay. Power button in the back. Ah, forgot we gotta plug it in. Simplest things, right? We all forget. Power light. Drum roll. HP splash screen. That's good. Get my mouse ready. Will it boot? That's the question. Very strange. Taskbar missing. It's almost frozen. Ah, there we go. So we're gonna keep an eye on that. Make sure it doesn't happen again. It seemed a little sluggish for some reason. Like I said, we'll keep an eye on that. But let's confirm our upgrade did in fact work. It looks like we got 16 gigs of RAM. Alright, so this is what we were talking about. 16 gigs of RAM. And how funny. Now it says 13.9 gigabytes usable. So it looks like the graphics, this AMD Radeon graphics built in, exponentially grabbed more RAM than what it was using last time. No big deal. We're going to do a tune-up and call it a day. That's as good as this one's going to get. So yeah, in the long run, save yourself some money. Spend a couple $100 more, get yourself something with a better processor. We usually recommend no less than an i5. You know, for the long run, an i5 is going to suit the needs for most everyday use and even more so. And you usually get more RAM, at least 16 gigs typically, and usually a 500 gig drive, 1 terabyte. So don't skimp out. You'll be sorry in the long run if you do use your computer for more than just basic stuff. Till next time.